What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Being in Love with Somebody Who Doesn't Know You Exist. As always, I am your host, Zach Cronin, and today we're going to be talking about my new favorite player of all time, Cam, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Thomas. I don't think there's anyone in the NBA, any NBA fan, who doesn't know who Cam Thomas is. Right now, if we were talking last year or during his rookie season, I would see that being a little bit more of a
Who is that?
kind of moment because Cam Thomas, despite being in the NBA for now three seasons, this is his third season. He's never been able to consistently crack the rotation for the Brooklyn Nets. As a rookie, there were flashes. As a second year player, there were even more flashes. There was that one string of games where he averaged like 43 a night for an entire week, just shitting on everybody. But it was tough for him to break into the rotation, but with Kevin Durant, with Kyrie Irving, with James Harden, because he was a young player. He was an inexperienced player on a team that was contending for a title. And generally, inexperienced players don't see minutes on championship caliber teams. But now this year, this Brooklyn Nets team is entirely different. They are no longer even close to contending for a title. They are a little bit more rebuild centric with Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Ben Simmons. And through 3 games, Cam Thomas has emerged as one of the best offensive players in the NBA right now. As at the time of this recording, he just had 33 against Charlotte on Monday night. I think it was. It was either 30 or 33. I can't recall. He's averaging 33 points while shooting a staggering 61% from the field. And this includes 31% from three and 83.3% from the free throw line. On twos, this kid is shooting damn near 71%. It's just been a masterful offensive showing from this guy who pretty much came in and started doing this on opening night almost unexpectedly. And I say unexpectedly as a guy who has watched Cam Thomas over the last 3 seasons. There was no doubt in my mind that he would turn into a reliable one-on-one scorer throughout his NBA tenure. But to see him doing it almost immediately and with this volume is very striking to me. I mean, you look at where he ranks on the leaderboards. Granted, it's still early, and some of these numbers will begin to normalize. Like the shooting percentages are definitely going to normalize. I don't think he's going to be a 30-point per game night this season because that is a very exclusive club reserved for only the elite of the elite. But as it stands, ninth in points, third in points per game, 17th in field goal percentage for a guard. He's fourth in 2-pointers made. He's third in free throws made and free throw attempts. He's fifth in PER. He's seventh in win shares. He's seventh in win shares per 48 minutes. This has just been a spectacular offensive showing from Cam Thomas. I don't want to just talk about the numbers that this kid is posting because anyone can go to his basketball reference page and gawk at them. I want to talk about how he's getting these numbers and how different he feels compared to a lot of young scorers. Cam Thomas just turned 22 years old a couple of weeks ago on October 13th. The level of polish that he is exhibiting in NBA games right now is almost unmatched by guys his age, unless you're talking about like Luka Doncic or Devin Booker or people like that. Because it's not just the fact that he's scoring points, because anybody can score points if you give them enough shot attempts. Like we make fun of Jalen Green all the time on the internet for being a shitty scorer, but he is a good player who just struggles with decision making and shot making. And those are normal things that you expect young players to struggle with, especially when they don't have a lot of time in the G League, especially when they don't spend too many years in college. And Cam Thomas is similar to that. He's still remarkably young. Like, I don't think I can understand this. Oh my God, I'm beginning to sound like
Oh my god, Jason Tatum is only 19.
I caught myself. What really sticks out to me the most is how Thomas is so adept at using his body and is so aware of where he is on the court at all times. The spatial awareness that he boasts for being 22 years old is just remarkable. He knows how to get to his spots. He knows the type of shot that he wants to get, and he knows how to convert on those kinds of shots as well. He's doing this while also not being particularly athletic or particularly explosive, and he's not even particularly large. He's 6'4", 210, listed on Basketball Reference. Like, he's got a very solid frame, but by no means is he an athletic freak. By no means is he a physical specimen like Jason Tatum or Giannis or anybody like that, but he is still capable of shredding defenses. And this is all part of his craftiness. We've seen this many a time when you have guys who don't have the same physical capabilities as some of their peers. They become very good at just being able to dissect the defense and get to where they want to get. Like that is a talent that every great scorer has. It's just a matter of how they get to that spot. You really can see the influence of Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant on Cam Thomas because all three of those guys, particularly KD and Harden, as they've gotten older and as they dealt with injuries, they weren't able to rely on their physicality as much. Obviously, Kevin Durant is kind of like not really an apt comparison because he's still 7 feet tall with an 8 foot wingspan, so he can take a shot from fucking wherever and it not be contested. But the James Harden influence is super strong. Even the way he handles the ball, the types of dribble moves that he strings together, it is very reminiscent of James Harden. And I feel that that is a great starting off point for Thomas because he's being taught how to play within himself. He's not being asked to step out of his comfort zone. He's not really being asked to rely too heavily on anything either. I'm actually very shocked at Cam's reluctance almost to shoot from the perimeter. He's only averaging like 4 3-pointers attempted per night thus far, which is very uncharacteristic of this new school of NBA player. He really lives in the mid range. Fucking 30% of his shots, this is courtesy of basketball reference, 30% of his shots are coming within 3 to 10 feet, and then another 18 are coming from 10 to 16. About 18% are coming within the restricted area as well, which is up from previous years. And apparently he hasn't missed a shot inside the restricted area. Holy moly. I'm running out of ways to describe the craftiness that his game has developed. Another thing that really sticks out to me is the difference between being fast and being quick. This is a very like odd way to categorize players, I feel like. But when you watch a ball handler, some of them are fast and quick, others are fast, and others are quick. When I think of someone who's fast and quick, I think of De'Aaron Fox. When I think of someone who's fast, I think of prime Russell Westbrook. But any player can be quick. Like James Harden can be quick. Chris Paul can be quick. LeBron James can be quick because the quickness isn't necessarily about going from fast to going faster. It can be from going slow to going fast. It's all about that first step. And Cam Thomas, his first step, dare I say, is among the upper echelon of NBA scorers. He's able to beat his man off the dribble 8 times out of 10. Even when like it's not that easy for him to beat his guy off the dribble, he doesn't mind throwing a shoulder in there. He doesn't mind utilizing his leverage. He doesn't mind utilizing his lower center of gravity when he is shown a mismatch on the perimeter. Like this kid just knows how to score. He is an exceptionally polished bucket getter. That's really all that he is. Like literally the only value he brings to this Brooklyn Nets team is being a scorer, and that's fine because every offense can use a person like that, especially when the roster is constructed as it is. You have Ben Simmons, who is the facilitator. You have Mikal Bridges, who is a secondary playmaker, a secondary scorer. You're getting good production from Lonnie Walker, who debuted with like 16 points the other night. Cameron Johnson as well. Like there is a spot for Cam Thomas Cam Thomas in this offense. Another thing I find to be interesting or a storyline that I'm going to look for going forward is that when a defense is tasked with locking down a lethal scorer, it's very difficult to take them out of the game offensively because a good player is going to get buckets. And Cam Thomas is showing that he's going to get buckets regardless of the defense that they face. One thing that the coaches can try to do is target them defensively. Like we've seen this with Damian Lillard. We've seen this with Steph Curry with varying degrees of success, largely more success with Damian Lillard because the Trailblazers have historically been a weaker defense. But when you have a guy like that, chances are they're not going to be that great on defense, and you can target them, you can go at them, you can put them in the pick and roll, you can force them to guard somebody, and that is going to hit their stamina. It is also going to just, provide another thing for them to worry about. Now, the reason this is a storyline for me to watch going forward is because on paper, the Nets have a very good defensive squad. Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton, Dorian Finney-Smith, Mikal Bridges, Royce O'Neal. There is a lot of size. There is a lot of length. There is a lot of athleticism to be utilized. The only reason that this is kind of a moot point right now is that the Nets are bottom five in both defensive efficiency and scoring allowed. There is the potential that they learn to hide Cam Thomas. It's just a matter of when. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Probably the last thing I want to touch on in regards to Cam Thomas, because I've really checked every box so far, much like he has, is his much improved efficiency at getting to the free throw line. Dude has shot 30 free throws in 3 games. Quick math works out to 10 per night. Like, that is Luka numbers. That is Embiid numbers. It's very odd to see a young player get such a beneficial treatment by the Zebras. Like, it doesn't happen, man. It doesn't happen. A player getting 10 free throws, a non-superstar getting 10 free throws a game consistently simply does not happen with the way that the game is officiated these days. It's very difficult for young players to get the whistle, but that is up considerably. His free throw rate is up considerably as well. That is, of course, boosting his scoring average. What, 25% of his points are coming from the free throw line at this point. I don't think that he will continue to get to the line with this rate, but I don't also expect it to go from 10 back down to 3 like where it was last season. I think comfortably 6 or 7 free throws per game, especially because at some other points, like, Bridges is going to get more involved in the offense. We may see Ben Simmons become a little bit more active in terms of scoring as well. But I think just like for right now, the ball is in Cam Thomas's hands because he is the most consistent bucket outside of Mikal Bridges. And I also think that he brings a little bit more versatility on offense than Mikal Bridges does, because as much as I love Bridges, he is not that versatile of a scorer. I mean, he is, don't get me wrong, he's a very solid 3-level scorer. But when I look at him, I do not look at him as like the guy on a championship level offense, which is obviously what this team wants to be at some point. I don't know if Cam Thomas is that guy either. However, I do know that these two work very well together. They do provide a little bit of a balance to one another, and it does also help because Cam Thomas is showing that he is also a respectable 3-level scorer, even if his percentages from the perimeter don't match that. So I'm very interested to see how these two work together going forward, because there haven't been any problems yet, and I don't think there are any problems now. Bridges also seems like a very team-centric guy and understands how to play within the flow of an offense. I mean, this guy's been around a ton of great players in his young career. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and also being on good teams as well with good coaching. You know, he's learned how to play within the flow of the game, and coming from being a role player to being a more prominent guy, arguably the guy, like the best player on this team, I think that he has a better understanding of what his role is at what time and how to best excel in that role, which of course is great because you don't want any headaches in the locker room. You don't want any tension. You don't want guys fucking trying to fight each other for shots. I lied. This is the final thing I want to touch on. I've been seeing some chatter online, and this is perfect because it's 3 games into the season, and Nets fans are already discussing Cam Thomas potentially being traded. And they're like, "Do you see the Nets moving on from this guy, or do you see him staying with the franchise?" Personally, I see both. I could see a world in which both happens. The world that I want is one in which that he remains on this team, because I think the Thomas Claxton duo is one that you can continue to build around with Mikal Bridges, with Ben Simmons. I also don't think that the Nets are going to try to swing a trade for a superstar, because they're not going to win shit in this Eastern Conference. I am sorry. That is not going to happen with Boston and Milwaukee and Philadelphia. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. You know, things can change. It's still only, well, it's October. It's Halloween on the day I'm recording this, but it's still super early in the season. You don't know who's going to be available, but I just don't think that the guy who is going to become available is going to be worth mortgaging your future to try to compete once again for a year or two. Like, I would much prefer this situation to play out for a couple more years than to package Thomas and Claxton and Bridges for, like, you know, hypothetically speaking, Trey Young or someone. I just don't think that is in the best interest of this organization. But I don't want to get too much into that because I just want to appreciate what this young man is doing. The Brooklyn Nets, our fan base, once again, has a homegrown guy who we can rally around. This guy was drafted by the Nets. He's remained with the Nets thus far for these 3 seasons, and he is turning into one of the best offensive players in the league. So shout out to Cam Thomas. I wish nothing but the best for him going forward. He is must-watch television at this point. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. As always, everything I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video. If you enjoyed it, comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next one.